Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 6-week winter challenge. We're so excited you're able to join us and to take this journey with us and this adventure for the next 6 weeks together. My name is Lisa, and
Hi, I'm Kristen.
and we are excited to talk to you about our Consciously Creating program in general, but how to consciously create your life just on a whole level. So we own Wild Souls Yoga for those of you who don't know us, and we just have been in partnership for almost a decade now, and just really trying to and having some success and lessons along the way of creating our own lives and the life that we want and manifesting and really working towards what we want in this lifetime, because we get this really finite time on this planet. And so it's like, wow, finding, what works and what really feels good in the heart space has been really important to us. And there's hiccups along the way and lots of magic along the way and all of the things. So it's definitely a process and a journey. So we're happy that you are joining us now here in 2024.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's just jump right in. So, consciously creating. So, you and I have been working for years on this content. It's kind of the cornerstone of everything that we do. We really believe in aligning with the rhythms of ourselves. And so, the consciously creating, how that falls into this is that when we live in a world where we're born into a family, we're born into a culture, we're born into a belief system, and we tend to, as humans, just like walk that path. And then for me personally, I got to the point where I remember being like, wait a minute, I've checked all of these boxes, I've done the things I'm supposed to do, but this doesn't feel quite right. It's not bad, like nothing's wrong necessarily, right? But it was that feeling that something was missing, and what was missing was my own alignment to what was really true for me. And re- even so, what was true for me, but also like where I wasn't expressing my gifts and like using my time on this planet to really express who I am as a soul, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, can I just interrupt you for a second, Kristen? You brought up the word remember. And I think that's so important because I think it is a process of remembering and remembering who we are, and really where we came, because we all came into, onto this planet um, through this incredible process of creation, and we're going to eventually leave this planet, and it's up, kind of in this time, however long we get, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 years, whatever it is, that's the time we get to remember our soul and our soul's calling. So I just wanted to bring that, because that's what made me think of that when you said remember.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a remembrance. It's a we have amnesia when we're born at some level, right? And then um, it's funny because the things that light us up along our path, those are to me, those are the things that spark that remembering.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that light us up, the things that we find a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure in, the things that come natural to us, those are the tools of remembering.
Mm-hmm. Mm. When you find those things, that's when it's like, that's how we get to create our lives, is those things that light that spark in us, and create that desire and that passion. That's what we want to do more of. And
Hmm.
that's where we get the choice to create that.
Yes, and here's what happens. Like it happened to me, it's still happening to me. I mean, life pulls us in, right? We have to pay the bills. That's just a human thing. We have to take care of the responsibilities, whatever those responsibilities are. They vary for each of us, but those things lead to a level of what I call the hamster wheel of life, right? And the hamster wheel of life it's necessary, but it can be a huge distraction because when we're on the hamster wheel of life and then at the end of the day we're tired and so we're like just completely drained and then we don't do like the soul things, right? And then we wake up the next morning and we get back on the hamster wheel and we spend all of our energy doing other things for everyone else around us, and then we are too exhausted to do anything else. And it becomes this very repetitive cycle that we can live for years and years and years, or our entire life. And so,
Mhm.
really, the goal of consciously creating is that the shift towards, yes, we have responsibilities. Yes, we have to, quote unquote, be on that hamster wheel from time to time. But how can we also bring in a level of awareness and shifts in order to bring more of an element of conscious creation into our daily routines?
Mhm. And that's where the shift happens. It's in
Mm.
those small micro adjustments that we make in our days, that create the lasting shifts. And so when you look back, and that's why, doing a yearly audit is so important, because we can look back and look at the whole. It's kind of like the stock market. If you look at it every day, it's like, super stressful and you're not really seeing what's, what's happening. But if you look at it over a year, you can see, hopefully the goal would be, this gradual kind of incline. Yes, there's dips and all this, but the soul, kind of the moving to a different timeline or frequency, is, you're constantly in this, the shift up, or this trajectory, of up. And, there will be those dips along the way and those little hiccups, but seeing it from a whole picture, it's like, okay, that, there was some forward movement. Because sometimes, each day, when there's days that we're like, oh, what the heck was that? And it doesn't feel like there's any alignment with our soul. And I don't even want to say forward movement, because, I think sometimes, that just lends to doing more. And it's not about doing more, it's about doing what's in alignment with your soul and your soul's calling and those whispers internally. And so, but yeah, but there's days where you feel completely out of alignment with everything. And it's like, okay, this too shall pass, as my mom used to say, and we get a new day. And so finding gratitude is one of the most important things, I think, in looking at our days and our months and our years, um, that we get a new day
Mhm.
to create. So.
I love how you said this is not about doing more. So this challenge, yes, we're going to ask you to do things that you're not normally maybe not doing every day. But the goal through this challenge, a 6-week challenge, is really to simplify, to do less, but to do things that are more in alignment. So let's jump right in. This yearly audit situation, that's what this week is about. The yearly audit. So how did 2023 go? We're really diving into a look back, a peek back, as Lisa said, like that big stock market overview of like what were the trends, what were the patterns, what went well, what were the lessons learned, right? Because that's the lessons and the hardships are just as important. Um, and that really helps us to refine the trajectory, the soul alignment trajectory. Let's talk a little bit about this and how this really impacts our life. So, Lisa, I'm going to ask you, like, what are what for your yearly audit? We're at the end of January now. What does your yearly audit look like? Your practice?
So, I'll start back with gratitude. I think, I've had a gratitude practice for quite a while. And when I look back at the patterns of my life, when I have dipped out of the, the patterns of gratitude and having that gratitude practice, I have really noticed a shift in my whole being. Like it is pretty profound, because I think habitually our brains, and we've talked about this a lot before in our classes and workshops and whatnot, but our brain likes the path of least resistance. And so if I'm always in a state of, oh, this, I'm not good enough, this life isn't good enough, this is horrible, this is that, this is this, our brain wants to create that, so it's going to stay stuck in that. And I have, so likewise does the same with gratitude. And so at the end of my days, beginnings of my days, I have done it both ways, that just finding a moment to write down a few things that I am grateful for. And it tends to shift the whole perspective. Journaling. So we want to get real granular with like exactly. So journaling is another way to see patterns and growth and evolution and transformation. And because so often, again, we forget who we are. We forget the things that are going on in our life. It's really hard to be at the beginning of a new year and think all the way back to the previous January or the previous February. It's like, what was I thinking? What was happening? What was going on? And if we take note of that in real time, what's happening, and journaling, it doesn't need to be, I know, we've heard from some people, it can feel like a lot, but it can just literally be bullet points of, just a check-in basis of where you are, what's going on, so that you can start to see these trends, because it's really cool to look back and see those trends. Finding moments each day to check in with myself is another huge part of my yearly audit, to look back um and that comes even more in those day-to-day habits that you were talking about, Kristen, is um looking back and seeing, did I take those moments for myself? Because then we become so pulled away from um, our own self and our own desires and passions. And then finding time to get creative and kind of putting it all together, whether that's a vision board, um, looking at things that I want for my life, answering questions that are a little bit more kind of here, like this big like umbrella, right? And then we can get real granular. We can get down to the nitty gritty. And when we look at manifestation and what we want for our life, we want to get really clear and we want to get those specifics. But I feel like this soul, I don't know, just like this opening and this like, oh my gosh, like what is my calling? Like that's a really big question. That's a really big, so I think really looking at those pieces, and then you can kind of narrowing it down. And then one of our favorite tools, and it's in the week, but it's in our week for you. Week 1 is our wheel of life, and looking at different aspects of our life, whether it be adventure and, all the adulting things, the finances and play, I think is on there. That's a big one for me, because I can get caught into just the structure of life so much, and getting out of the play and the creativity. Anyway, so looking at those, anyway, so that's a whole nother, we can talk about that, but our wheel of life, and just looking at all of the different aspects of our life and kind of bringing them into alignment, because sometimes we can get so pulled, like we can be like, okay, we're so in this structure that we forget this, or we can get really pulled in these different ways. So I think kind of just, I don't know if that just, did I answer you? I know I can start talking and then, then I'm off and whatever, and then I'm like, what was the question? So,
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah,
so
and we did create a consciously creating workbook that we use with our coaching clients, and you and I both use this book personally, and it actually, that's what I use for my yearly audit, because it does have the wheel of life, but it also, I track, kind of to your point, every month throughout the year, before the month, what I'm working on, what my goals are, my top 3 goals, and then at the end of the month I do um, a review of the month. And so part of my yearly audit is to review the last 12 months in those pages, because they have been documented. So documentation is a practice that I know we both recommend as we transverse this journey through this life. But yeah, the wheel of life, that's a really great segue um, to the nitty gritty of the yearly audit, to look at our life in categories, right? And so we'll send out a video getting specific on the wheel of life, but the wheel of life is really, really a tool to look at the big pieces of pie of our life, right? And to see where our focus has gone, where it's going, where it needs to be, if it's in the right place, if it's not. And none of this, again, is like meant to deliver any kind of messaging that you're not good enough, that we're not doing the right thing, we're not on the right path. That's not what this is about. It's really a tool of awareness, because again, we can get so caught up just in the day-to-day minutia of life that sometimes we're not putting our focus on the greater awareness. So,
Mhm. Yeah. And I think I taught a yoga class this morning, and um, we had talked about that, about if you don't do anything else, if you never did another reflection, if you never did any kind of, any inner work at all, you're perfect just the way you are. Like, there's nothing, to Kristen's point, like you just are abundantly beautiful and encompass just everything that you are, and which is just absolutely perfect. And there's times where it's like, when we go through different seasons in our life where things might be a little bit more challenging, sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm just going to put everything on I don't need to journal. I just need to be. And that's totally fine. And that's such a beautiful place to be as well. But in those seasons of our life when we're like, okay, let me just take inventory of what's going on. And even in those kind of rough spots, it's nice to take inventory too.
mm,
And but and that's where the gratitude comes back. It's like, I'm grateful that, I have heat in my house, and I'm grateful, for whatever it is. And so that's where that comes into play, which can make it so much sweeter just to look at. And yeah, and just, it's an awareness. It's not, it's releasing any judgment. So it's like, if sometimes we can look at that and say, oh, I need to do more of this or more of that, and it's like, no, it's just an awareness where we want to come into alignment, and in this flow. We talk on retreats a lot, if you've been on retreat with us, the flow of life, and just kind of being in that little dance back and forth. So it's not this rigid, like, it's just this nice flow. So, and I've done years where I've done the wheel of life each week, and check it, or fill it out. The pie, you'll see it. The wheel of life there, and filling it out each week is a weekly. You could even do it daily, monthly, like as much as you are into it or not. Just really, it's just such a great place to be, is those check-in points with yourself, because really our life is our life, and it's up to us to create it, and no one's coming. I think it's Mel Robbins that says, no one's coming for you.
hope.
No one's no one's
No,
coming to
it
do it
is up
for
to us.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is you. So, yeah. So you want to find what works best for you. So,
Yeah, so empowering to take that control back
mhm.
of the creative power that we have over our lives. So to recap, this week this is an audit, so it's time for reflection on how the past 12 months have been for you. We do have a couple of suggested activities. Of course, if there's something else that works better for you, but again, this is just inventory and reflection, so that in the coming weeks, you will be using that information to continue the process of consciously creating.
Yes. Yes. Super excited. And with that, be on the lookout for a gift from us on Wednesday in your inbox. So we will be in touch with you throughout the week. And as always, we are here for any questions, support. If you're moving through this process and you have questions for anything, or if you just want, I mean, we're happy to get on a phone call with you. We can just kind of process, whatever's coming up for you. That is totally fine. We're here and available for you as you navigate through this. So I think that is it. Anything else, Kristen?
No, we're really excited for this week. Really, really excited. I think this is a perfect time of year to really dive into this. So happy auditing.
Yes, happy auditing. Well, cozy up, create your space and cozy up, and light a candle and get your tea, and just, kind of sit down in a little sacred space there as you open up the first email and kind of dive into it. So, yes, happy auditing. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.